Welcome back to the channel. My name's Ethan. It is June the 27th today. This tractor needs a radiator rebuild. It overheats. So, we're going to unhook it from the manure spreader. I'm going to pull out the radiator. Then, the radiator's going to get sent away. I'm going to put 7420 on the spreader. And then this thing will be ready to cut hay again for second cut. Because I am unsure if our 6430 is going to be back in time. We also got to work on this pump over here. As you can see, the kill switch cable and that's all simple stuff compared to a radiator, but it needs to be done. So, anyhow. Anyway. Next clip you'll see this tractor's in the shop. 2350s on the other side of the barn getting new tires. Because, well, this one's doing it too. The rims rotted out around the valve stem because of calcium. So I'll show you guys that when it's fixed. It'll be in the video before this one too. Because I'm going to finish the other video today and picking up this one. Because I want to showcase this whole tractor in its own video. Alright, so before I fixed it, I figured I'd give it a quick once-over, wash-over. It's not perfect, but it's there, like, obviously. Well, I ran around once, I just focused on cleaning this up. Didn't get too much in there. So, could have done a little better job, I guess, but we're on a little bit of a time crunch because I want to get this out in enough time that it has... or enough time today that it's time to get shipped off to start getting work done. So, it's time to take the hood off. And yeah, I think I'm going to drain all that rad fluid into a pail. Because if you remember correctly, that rad fluid's only a few weeks old. So, might repaint this screen. Might just flake off again, but what's the worst that could happen, honestly? Anyhow. Time to tear it apart. Alright, things are looking quite different already. Side shield's off. Hood off. Hood off's actually, that's kind of hard because it's only 4, but it's really heavy, 4 bolts. You can see this is plugged up, so we'll have to clean that. But now to self-teach myself how to take this thing off. Well, what I see right away is I got to drain the fluid. Clamp there, something there. A line here, that's easy, that just comes off there. This is kind of what I do when I see something for the first time. Well, that can just come off there. We got to loosen that off there. If we do it right, maybe we can get away with just sliding the radiator that way. We can keep this whole thing for the turbo on. Yeah, this engine's turbocharged actually. Yeah, I think that's what we gotta do. So I'm just gonna start taking stuff off. I'm gonna drain the fluid first into a pail before I get too carried away though. We're draining the rad fluid now. It's coming out pretty dirty. Well, all the hunks fell from trying that and it's running down. So even though it's new-ish rad fluid, like only a few weeks or a month old, whatever, I guess we'll put new stuff in because it's running through all of this. And I mean, new rad, new fluid, I guess. Whatever. Fluid was cheap. I think I only spent $60 for rad fluid, so we're gonna spend like $600 on a rad rebuild. Why not put another $60 into new fluid? So, yeah. Because it's just not draining properly and stuff's going everywhere. But while that's draining, I'm going to just start taking stuff like all that off. It's not good. We're going to have to tape that up before we put it back. It's for... I don't know what that's for, but we better just tape it up. Don't want an electrical fire after everything. Alright, so here's 2750. I got this whole thing worked out. I stretched the spring, put the spring on better. Kill switch cable kills and I don't have to push it back. Throttle cable pulls back so the tractor doesn't get stuck wide open, which is good. So tire guy came, worked on 2350. I'll show you guys that. So let me shut the light off. So I've already looked at it now. The tire guy forgot to put valve stem caps on. So I already made this joke in the last video, because these videos are overlapping right now. I said I guess that's why it's called okay tire instead of great tire, because it's a okay job. It's a dad joke for you right there, I guess. But I went, stole these caps off a bike, and I'm just gonna put them on. It might not fit the exact same, but it's a little better than nothing. It's the little things. Like, it takes, I'm sure that guy has a bucket in his truck. It would have taken 10 seconds to throw 2 on, but nope, can't do that because that's too much work. But these tires, BKTs, whatever went over in the last video, they're loaded. We put, instead of calcium this time, we put the egg, fill in them, non-corrosive, new rims. Sits up a lot higher. Nice tread on them. So, yeah, personally, I do like Firestones a bit better, but these were a reasonable price. A little better than a Firestone tire. So, yeah. I'm 2 screws away from pulling the radiator out of the, or 2 bolts away from pulling the radiator at 2750, but just can't get them yet, so our mechanic's gonna come on down and he's gonna take them out with me because they're a little hard to get at, and yeah. But so next clip you see will probably be radiator off the tractor. So I was gonna wait for a mechanic to get here, but I found the way you're actually supposed to do it. I was trying to take these pins out here, really struggling. It's just 2 bolts. So yeah, just 2 bolts. That's why I was having such a hard time. I fought with it for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes earlier and another 20 now. So I'm gonna lift this rad out and set it down. Then I'll take off this hydraulic filter, or yeah, whatever you want to call that. So I'll take it all out now, lay it out. So there we have it, the whole mess down in here. That's why I couldn't see them nuts and bolts I need to remove, but I got it myself. So really nice. Something's still leaking a bit, but I have a feeling that it was that the clamp coming off there for the hydraulic oil. So now I'm gonna pull off this hydraulic oil, whatever you want to call it at this point. There's a technical name for it, doesn't matter. I know what it does. So yeah, I'm gonna take it off. It's probably a smaller metric size, but then the rad can be sent away. Rad will be back within a week. So I'll take that off, I'll clean it. That'll be the last video you see, and then the next hunk of video you'll see, if all goes to plan, we'll be putting this thing back together. But it's an oily mess. I'm probably gonna clean up some of this, but you guys don't need to watch that. You guys can see it as it goes in. So yeah, there's Stella taking a nap. There we go, I got all this taken off. Look at all the junk that was under there. That's not gonna help any, but this tractor overheats way too easy. It's obviously the rad. I'm gonna clean this puppy up, so you'll see that cleaned up. And I'm gonna wash this thing up too. I'm gonna spray a little bit of paint back on here because it's overheated. This tractor, it's gotten hot and it's melted this. I don't know why, but it looks like someone's cut a hunk out of here before. But whatever. So We'll repaint this. Paint might not stick, but it'll look good for a little bit. So, yeah. I'm gonna work at all that. Alright, so I've been power washing. You can see, power wash this. It's actually dry. It's just how it looks. And rubbed it down with a hand rag. I'm gonna go spray paint this. It's just a hunk of plastic, but yeah, it's pretty messy in here. But just a hunk of plastic, but I'm gonna paint it up because when you're looking at the tractor, they stick out here and they're faded versus the rest is a little more green. So it's probably just gonna end up flaking off again, but it's worth a shot. Anyhow, well, there we have it, all painted up. Gonna have to do a second coat on it, but at least it's all the same color now. So yeah, do a few more coats, probably 1 or 2, and then can put it back on. So, radiator left yesterday, but that looks a whole lot better. And yes, that can of paint is a different shade of green. Now, I'm not an expert, but I do know John Deere changed the paint color, so this paint color and that paint color out of the can, even if this wasn't faded, which it is faded, just a little bit, but they're different. They switched, I believe they switched the paint color once they switched over to the new generation tractors. So when they went away from the sound guard cabs and went towards the platform, or whatever you call the new cabs that are like on a 7420, they switched paint too. So you can still buy the old style paint, I think, but this is just a Canadian Tire special. So yeah, like this drawbar, it's aftermarket. It's a new paint style, so you can see there's a little bit of a difference, but yeah. Radiator left yesterday. Pretty sure I already said that, but got picked up last night. Gotta clean all this up yet. First coat dried on really nicely. Time for coat number 2. So I'm gonna put that on now. Yeah, it's looking really sharp. Alright, it is July the 5th today. And good news, the radiator for the 2750 just came back. We're working on this thing some more too, but that's a different video. So, came back. Rad shop that rebuilds the rads paints them all black when they do it, because they take it all apart and solder it back together. Doesn't matter to me what color it's painted, because once I get this on and put them side shields on, you don't see it. So, but yeah, it's here. I worked on it last night. Had a little bit of help last night when our mechanic brought it back. He helped, so we got the oil cooler on, the air on, the rad drain line on. We also got this line back on, this on. It was really nice that he put this on, because these clips here are really hard to get on and off. So he looked after that. That's done. So pretty much I'm gonna put 6 rad screws on. I'm gonna fill it with coolant. I should shut the drain tap now while I remember, because I'm sure the drain tap is still open. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. No, maybe it's closed. It feels tight. Anyway, yeah, I gotta put all this on yet too, and tape that line up, I guess. But we're gonna get it together. We're gonna run it like this for a little bit. That way I can look at all the lines, check that everything's good, nothing's leaking. So let's get straight to it this morning. All right, it's the afternoon now. We're ready to put rad fluid in. So one thing to note with a rebuilt rad is they take everything apart and they resolder it. So they might not get it perfectly back together. Well, one of the examples of that was, should have maybe shown or explained it, but there's a attachment to the rad that goes like this, out and up, and that's where this bolt there attaches to, and this bolt there. Well, they just weren't quite fitting, so I took a drill and drilled each of them just a hair bigger. So now that's good. So now we're gonna put radiator fluid in. We have 2 and a bit cans. I'm gonna put a high ratio in. Last time, this murky stuff, it almost looks like oil now. Last time I put in almost 100%. This time I'm gonna put in like 80 or 60. I know there's a lot of people in the comments in the last one are like, hey, why are you doing that? You can easily run 50-50 or you can run 40-60. Well, yes, but here we go. So since this tractor's been known to have cooling problems, we're actually going to run a 70% ratio. So, boiling, you can see the boiling temperature increases. It's hard to read, but there we go. Now it focused. So if I ran a 50% ratio, boiling up to 129 degrees Celsius or 265 Fahrenheit. So the higher up in ratio you go. So if I run a 70% ratio, I get 6 degrees better Celsius of cooling and 11 degrees better Fahrenheit of cooling. This stuff's pretty cheap. What do we pay for this? Pretty much $19. Like, for the few degrees better of cooling, it doesn't cost a whole lot more. So we're gonna run around a 70-80% ratio. Just that way this thing stays cool, because it works really hard on that disc vine. It's always had problems with overheating. This new radiator, apparently, or rebuilt new, I'm gonna call it new radiator. It's gonna have a lot better cooling, but I just want to get that fully looked after. Cooled. Don't want to have to worry about that temperature problem anymore. And well, I want to keep the paint on here again. So, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. The people that said in that one video, run 50-50, 100% agree with that. But for this case scenario, this tractor's had historical problems of overheating for the past 4 or 5 years. This one gets special treatment. The other ones, yeah, we run 50-50 in those. But for this one, I'm going to run a high ratio. So, just addressing that because I know there'll be more comments on that. But yeah, you guys are right. For most stuff, that's what you want to run. So, we're going to put coolant in here, and then we're going to fire it up. Alright, there you have it. Oh, you might not be able to see. It's full. There's a little bit of water on top because it hasn't mixed or flowed or whatever. So, I put a jug and maybe a third of coolant in and a full jug of water. Well, almost a full jug of water. So we're probably a little less than 70, but that's fine. So, now begins the fun, but yeah, very important part, clearing all the tools off. When I'm working on stuff, I put stuff everywhere. If you're wondering what these 4 nuts and bolts are from, they're from the hood and the hood seal. They're just gonna go there. So, I'm gonna clear all these tools off, and then we will take it out for a run. We'll have to move the skater. We won't be able to get to the skater before we go away. We're leaving for 2 days, or I'm leaving for 2 days to go to Eastern Challenge for it. So let's get this thing going. Alright, all the tools are put away, I think. Yeah, for the most part. Just doing a final walk around. What I did notice, there were bolts in here before. Rad shop must have lost them. Whatever, because it's soldered in there, so it's not going to go anywhere. So that's completely fine. We won't worry about that. So now, done a bunch of work down here too. I had to make the spring work, but I'm pretty sure I got video footage of that, but it's been so long. So, start this tractor up slow. Sounds a little funky. Is that on properly? It does sound a little bit funky. I'm gonna do a walk around. Yeah, so I don't know what that noise is. At first I thought something in here was hitting, but it's clearly not. This thing is on the same way. I've looked around. I don't see anything that would make it sound like that. So I don't know. I sent an audio clip of it over to our farm mechanic that comes out and works on most things. Let him listen to it. Maybe it's just how they sound for a little bit till everything gets moved back around, but I wasn't gonna let it run to find that out. But yeah, so we shall see. So this tractor runs as it should now. Pretty much there's the other side. Mechanic came, started it up. He realized pretty quick that, here, can you see? Maybe you can't, but anyway, the inside of this, the fan was hitting. Like I said, when they redo these rads, they get made just a touch differently, and that touch was enough to make this hit. So he put some washers underneath. It doesn't rub anymore, and it sounds a whole lot better. So we're gonna leave the hood off for a little bit. We're gonna run it. We're gonna drive it around. Gonna let everything build pressure, check all the lines, then I'll throw the hood back on. And I gotta fix this wiring. Alright, so that whole radiator noise funky thing was sorted out. I'm pretty sure I got clips on that. It's quite a few days later. Someone went, it wasn't me, they put the hood on this tractor. Tractor's running really well, doesn't heat up. Just a few minor things that still have to get put on. So we gotta, it's gonna fall off soon. Anyway, so there's a rear hood seal. That runs right along here. That still's got to get put on. And there is these front LED light wiring, and they got to go in here. Because right now, if you turn on the lights, they don't work because there's no wiring to them. So we got 10 acres. First cut down. Dad did that. This tractor didn't heat up whatsoever. It's running great. So we're just gonna put these last two things on. I'm gonna take the 4 bolts or nuts holding the hood down, block the hood up, so just lift it up on blocks and put the cables in and seal. So let's get to it. There we have it. The front 3 LEDs plugged in. So there's a 4th hookup here, because if you buy a big tractor and you put tiger lights on it, it has 4 bulbs in the front instead of 3. So now I just got to put the hood seal in here. I had a lot of trouble getting the hood off there because things that aren't supposed to turn were turning. But yeah, this will have to be adjusted. It sits about there. So yeah, I just popped this battery cover side off. So now we're gonna let the front down, we'll lift the back up. And yeah. What I don't like is the rad sup did not get this radiator sitting properly. So you can see before, the line would have sat here and this there. The fuel cap would have sat just like that and stack there. Well, you gotta get this before you can get that now, but before it used to slide over. And what makes that a pain is you're sliding all over and the hood seal falls off. So this is the third time now, and I gotta redo it again, and I gotta take the hood off again. But it doesn't like to clear and sit on nice, but I did get this hood mount fixed. But yeah, the rad sup, now I was told after it was a wrist that it wouldn't sit on properly, and here we are, it doesn't sit properly, so that sucks. So I've been continuing to try to get everything on that hood to clear, and then I realized I forgot to tape up all the wires that were going bad, so I'm gonna tape that up. But I'm getting pretty frustrated with this hood because it's not fitting, because the way it all sits in a little bit differently. So yeah, I'm gonna tape up this wire, and then, well, I could get some of this stuff later, but this was the big wire that was starting to go. So yeah, pretty much every time I shimmy around, this hood seal just goes, falls off, but we'll get it. So I've come to the conclusion it's never gonna fit. You can just see there's not enough of a gap here, and it's not enough wiggle room here. Same with here. It's just all too tight. We got too many reman parts because of the radiator. It's rebuilt, and this is aftermarket. So I mean, the aftermarket parts do improve this tractor, but it's just led to tiny little things that have made it hard. So I've adjusted things accordingly so that this hood hopefully won't cut these battery shields, and hopefully the hood won't get cut by this, so on and so forth. So gonna top off rad fluid on this tractor, and we're gonna start blowing feed. We got 10 acres and it's supposed to rain in 3 hours. Fully back together and running. Gonna go on the forage blower this afternoon. There. You can see, yeah, this side's a little tighter, but anyway, there is a gap the whole way along, especially at the top. So the hood and that aren't gonna go and break each other, so we're all good there. I'm probably not gonna get any footage of first cut just because of how far behind I am on editing, or second cut rather. I don't know why I said first cut, but I'm not going to get any footage of this first day of haying or second crop. Yeah. Anyhow, gonna unhook this.